Hi everyone, good evening. So the objective of the ITIL Foundation session is, of this particular webinar session is about the context setting, about describing what is ITIL and the ITSM. How will the ITIL Foundation base will move you toward the expert roadmap. Doing the ITIL training and certification program, how would it help you in your further career opportunities? How will Edureka will help you out in meeting your goals and objectives for ITIL training? And last, our question and answer session. What is service management? For understanding what is a service management, it is important to know what is a service. A service is a means of delivering value to customers by facilitating outcomes customer wants to achieve without the ownership of specific cost and risk. So what is service management then? If service is this, the definition of service management is highly dependent upon the understanding that you have of the service. So let me give you a layman definition of service management, and then we'll come to across the more technical definition as per ITIL. So service management is about having the ability to do something and be able to provide something to someone. I'm repeating. Service management is about having the ability to do something and be able to provide something to someone. Here, something is your service and someone is your customer. Getting into the more technical definition of service management from the perspective of ITIL, service management is a set of, so what is service management? To understand about service, it is important to know the definition or understanding about service before. So service in respect to or in relation to this between the service provider and the customer is, here it is. A service is a means of delivering value to customers by facilitating outcomes customer wants to achieve without the ownership of specific cost and risk. So basically, one needs to understand why a customer wants to avail the service from a service provider. The customer wants to avail the service from a service provider in order to avoid the ownership of specific cost and risk. For an example, if I, an individual, want to avail the telecom service provider's voice data service, I will not be setting up the whole of the IT network infrastructure. It would always be practical and feasible to take across the service from any service provider, be it ITIL, be it Vodafone, or be it any other service provider. What is the benefit of it? The benefit of it is that I, as an individual, do not have to bother about the network cost, about the infrastructure cost, about the risk which is involved in providing the service. Based upon this definition, let us understand what is service management. Service management is about having the ability to do something and be able to provide something to someone. Over here, the something is your service and someone is your customers. Getting into the more technical definition of service management, as per ITIL, service management is a set of specialized organizational capabilities for providing value to customers in the form of services. Over here, the keywords are specialized. Another keyword is organizational capabilities. We have value to customers and services. Let us, have a brief understanding about what these keywords means. Over here, specialized means something, for an example, which is focusing on high-tech IT infrastructure environment. Something which not everyone can do that. Something which few only are able to do at present. With the specialized IT infrastructure cannot be useful until and unless we have the organizational capabilities. By organization capabilities, we mean that we should be having the right functional units, the right business units, the right departments, right roles, right skills, and right knowledge. Without having the right function, business unit, departments, roles, skill sets, or knowledge, it cannot be possible that the service provider generates the return on investment or the value on investment from that particular specialized field or the IT infrastructure as an example over here. In the form, the services keyword we have already discussed above. Value to customers. It is a saying, I don't know whether you have heard it or not. Quality is not what the service provider is providing to the customer. Quality is what the customer is getting. Therefore, when we talk about service management, we also capture the value to customer which is being passing on. What do you mean by value to customers? In value to customers, there are two components to it. What are those two components? The first component is utility. If any customer is availing service from a service provider, it is utmost important from a customer's point of view to understand that the service which he or she is availing, will it solve the purpose for which it is being availed? In other words, what the service does. To put it in a different word, utility means or is a measure of the desirability of consuming a good or service. So we avail If I am availing the service from a telecom service provider, the first and foremost important thing is to know whether that given telecom service provider is providing me the voice service. Will I be able to call up? Is there the network over there or not? In the area, in the geographical location in which I'm residing or working. If I am not being availed the basic service, which is calling one person to another, with, in other words, the voice plan service, my purpose is not being met, which is my first and basic criteria. In that case, what I need to do is I have to look out for any other service provider. So when we talk about value, the one of the critical components is utility. Once my purpose is being met by availing the service, the next thing that is customer, would look into is how is that service delivered? Is it fit for use or not? Does it has the warranty component into it? Let me take in an example. When we as a customer buy an electronic product, the first and the important thing that we look out for is, hey, look, will this component, will this refrigerator or the television or any other component, will it be serving my purpose or not? This is first thing. The second thing is, will the service be able to secure, safe or not? Is it ISI marked or not? If it is not, then probably how good that service is in terms of helping me out in delivering my purpose or meeting my purpose, I will not be availing it. So when we talk about value, we are talking about two components, which is utility and warranty. So I'm repeating this definition which I stated regarding service management again. Service management is a set of specialized organizational capabilities for providing value to customers in the form of services. The next thing is infrastructure management. What do we cover in infrastructure management? We cover a service provisioning. We do network management too. We also perform virtual environment management. We do the security, the server or the storage management, and we also involve the monitoring tools for alarm generation, for notification. So basically, what is the organizational need? The organizational needs changes with the passage of time. What we have today, what we need tomorrow, and what we need to improvise upon. So the highly effective workforce in the organization will help us in meeting our objectives. So what does the highly effective workforce comprises of? It comprises of the competencies. They have the inbuilt or the developed over the period of time the capabilities. We should have the right roles and yes, the right staff. Why we were dealing into the service management, infrastructure management, or the service definitions? and how the ITIL is correlated with all these concepts. So earlier, way back in 1960s, 1970s, the role of IT wasn't there, or if it was negligible. However, with the passage of time, IT now in today's world has grown into each component in the blood vessels of the organization. Hence, it becomes important that an effective management of IT services takes place. And that is where we have the concept known as ITSM, which stands for IT Service Management. So ITSM is a concept which describes about how the IT service will be managed. So what is an ITIL? ITIL is an approach. Approach for whom? Approach to whom? Approach to the IT service management. So what does ITIL suggest? ITIL suggests managing the entire business service along with its underlying components cohesively, assures that we are considering the every aspect of a service. It also assures that we are delivering the required functionality and service levels to the business customers. Let me put it in a more simpler way. To do an effective and efficient ITSM, or in other words, the IT service management, there are various ways or approaches which an organization can follow. The one approach is developing the methodology in-house. The other approach could be following the best practices or the processes or methodologies which is being done by the other organizations in the same industry or the geographical location. Or the third approach could be of adapting the models which were developed by a lot of research by the famous scholars in and around the city or across the globe. Or the other approach could be following certain standards. The one or the other approaches of doing an effective and efficient ITSM is ITIL. ITIL was formerly known as Information Technology Infrastructure Library. So the ITIL framework, which is also known as the best practice framework, has been developed by the people by taking into the account the best practices which has been followed across the globe, irrespective of the industry, irrespective of the domain, irrespective of the technology, for the maintenance or management of IT services. And through the learnings from all those organizations or individuals or teams, this framework has been developed. And that is the reason it evolves over the period of time. From the earlier V1 version, it is now into the V3 version phase. And it will evolve, continuously be evolving over the coming period of time too. The ITIL complements, you would say rather, ITSM in the best possible manner. And that is the reason ITIL has gained such an importance focus from people across the globe. And hence, the ITIL framework training program certifications has been valued by each and most of the organizations in today's world. The practices, the frameworks which has been prescribed in ITIL is now been adapted widely across all the industries that you can think of. So how does the ITIL has been divided into, or how the structured program ITIL is? So the ITIL is known as the best practice framework. It was developed by the OGC. It's currently running its V3 211 upgraded version. ITIL framework is currently being an open source, still being owned by the body known as Axelos. It is spelled as AXELOS. So the ITIL has been designed in the ITIL service lifecycle rather has been designed into 5 phases. The 5 phases are on your screens right now. The first phase is service strategy. In strategy, we design our vision, goals, objectives of the organization. The second phase of ITIL is service design. The service design phase looks after designing of new or changed services into the organization. The third phase of ITIL is service transition. The purpose of service transition is to ensure that the new service, the modified service, or the services which have been retired meet the expectations. Meet the expectations of who? Meet the expectations of the business, which is documented in the service strategy and service design stages of the life cycle. From service design stage, the next phase, which is captured or designed by ITIL, is service operation. The purpose of service operation is to come together and deliver the service where the utility and warranty is present. This is the stage where the customers actually experience the value we deliver. We means the service provider. So what are the general activities in service operation? The general activities in the service operation is to think like a technician. That is, to manage the day-to-day activities and technology, to execute processes to optimize the cost and quality, to enable the business to meet its objectives. So service operation is where the actual value is perceived to be delivered. The last phase in ITIL is continual service improvement. What it prescribes is you cannot do an effective IT service management if you're not improvising. You're not improvising upon what? You're not improvising on your technology, if you're not improvising on your processes, or you're not improvising on your services. So the motto of continual service improvement is to improve in a continuous fashion. The next point is how the exam of ITIL is being divided. How is it structured? So the structuring of the ITIL exam is generally divided into 3 phases. The first and the important phase is, if you want to make your career in ITIL, if you want to get certified for all the ITIL modules, this is the structure that any individual needs to follow. The first and foremost is attaining your ITIL foundation exam. Mind you, if you are not an ITIL foundation certified person, you are not eligible in any respect to move further up the ladder of the further ITIL certifications. Once you clear your ITIL foundation certification, you get 2 credit points. So moving up the ladder in ITIL certification program, one needs to have ITIL foundation exam cleared, or in other words, you need to have the 2 credit points. The next stage is the intermediate stage. In the ITIL intermediate stage, you have 2 different paths that you can choose, either of them or both of them. Those name of the path are the intermediate lifecycle modules or the intermediate capability modules. The difference between the lifecycle modules of ITIL at intermediate level or the capability modules at the intermediate is, 1, the ITIL lifecycle modules have 5 different modules under it, and each module carries 3 credit points, whereas under the capability intermediate lifecycle module, there are 4 modules, each covering 4 credit points. So one needs to have at intermediate level 15 credit points. Until unless you do not have the 15 credit points, for sure, what? You cannot move to the next ladder of ITIL expert. So the next level of is the ITIL MALC exam or the certification, clearing upon which you are been certified as an ITIL expert. Let us have a brief know-how about the processes which are covered under ITIL lifecycle stages. So I stated you that ITIL framework is divided into 5 phases. The 5 phases are the service strategy, service design, service transition. It is incorrectly written, it's not transmission, it is transition. service operation, and continual service improvement. Under service strategy, you have 4 processes: demand management, financial management, strategy generation, and service portfolio management. Under service design, you have the processes: service catalog management, service level management, capacity management, availability management, service continuity management, the information security management, and supplier management. Service transmission, you have the knowledge, change, assets, release deployment, transition planning, service validation, and evaluation. In operations, you have it is divided into processes and functions. The processes are the incident management, problem management, event management, request fulfillment, access management. The functions are your service desk functions, application functions, technical management functions, and IT operation management. The CSI is rather have the process and models, which include the service measurements, reportings, and service improvements. So what is ITSM? We covered it in some way earlier in this session, which refers to the entity of activities directed by policies, supporting procedures, and organized and structured in processes. So the activities are performed by an organization or part of an organization to plan, to deliver, to operate, to control IT services offered, which are offered to the customers. The ISOs and ISEs are the helping hand in the ITIL framework. In the organization, one do not use the ITIL framework in silos. You will have with ITIL maybe the enterprise architecture frameworks like the TOGAFs, or maybe the governance frameworks, which is the COBIT, or you may have the ISOs, you may have the project management, which is the PMP or PRINCE2 standards or the guidelines. So when we talk about service management, we need to keep in mind the 4 P's of service management. Which are our 4 P's? Our 4 P's are people, process, products, and partners. All these 4 P's has to keep in mind by whom? By the service provider. For whom? For the service management. Why? For the business of the organization. So it is the snapshot of the ITSM landscapes. How does an IT service portfolio would look like? How would it look like? There is a brief sample shot in front of you, which has divided the IT service portfolio of the organization into 4 business heads: the enterprise computing services, infrastructure services, network and conversion services, and end user computing service. Or you may have many different structured way of dividing your service portfolio. How does the simple organizational structure look like? Why it is important? For what? For having the organizational structure in the organization. If we do not have the organizational structures in the organization, the effective and efficient ITSM, which was I was talking earlier, is not possible, or is not effectively or practically possible to do the most efficient ITSM in the organization. So be it any organization in today's world, all are well structured. So how is the ITIL certification organized? It is organized into 3 different levels. The first is your basic level. in which generally the expectation from the participants or the examiner is that they should be knowing the basic general know-how about ITIL framework. At the intermediate level, it is expected that the participants or the candidates must be able to comprehend those basic keywords and are able to apply into the real world problem-solving situations. At the expert level, which is an advanced level, it's not just about application of the knowledge or the comprehension of the knowledge, but the analysis part which turns into the picture. So earlier I was talking about the structure of the ITIL certification exam. This is how it has been structured. At the base, you have the ITIL Foundation for Service Management Certification, which carry the 2 credit points. Then you move at the intermediate level. The lifecycle module carries the 15 credit points and the capability carries the 16 credit points. However, you need at least 15 credit points at the intermediate level to go to the next level, which is managing across the life cycle, which carries 5 credit points. So in all, to become an ITIL expert, one must have minimum of 22 credit points recorded against your profile. In the capability streams, which we were discussing at this given slide, this one on your right hand side, you have the PPO, you have the SOA, you have the RCB, and you have the OSA. So generally the capability module, the capability intermediate module, is being adapted for certifications and training purposes. By whom? It is done by the people who are working into the processes. So it is really meant, the certification is meant for the individuals who work in the processes, who are responsible in carrying out the daily process activity. So once you do each of these certifications, the individual specialized in the process level know-how. So capability module, in comparison to the life cycle module, is more process oriented. The life cycle module is more of a phase oriented structure. Under the RCV, the OSA or the SOA or the PPO, you have different processes covered. The names are there on your screens right now. So what do you offer? Will you be opting for the capability stream, or will you be opting for the life cycle module stream? So let me tell you brief about the structuring of life cycle and capability that is done. And I would reiterate one of the few points to start with. The life cycle module is a phase oriented, whereas the capability module is more of a process oriented structure. The life cycle lays emphasis on the phases, lays emphasis on the process relationship. It also lays emphasis on the roles, responsibilities, and implementation considerations. However, they pay less attention to the process. Capability, on the other hand, lays emphasis on improving and implementing the existing related processes. I'm repeating, the capability stream lays emphasis on improving and implementing the existing related processes. The third difference which I would like to highlight about the life cycle and capability is, for the capability which I already covered, was that this certification is for the individuals who work in the process. How about the life cycle? The life cycle certifications are for individuals who are working on the processes and are responsible for ITSM implementations. So basically this life cycle module is been taken care by the people who do the management roles or the lead role profiles. Job opportunities. There are ample jobs in the market across the globe for the people who are ITIL certified professionals. The reason? Because this is the framework which has been adapted by many organizations till date and is being in the process of being adapted by several thousand other organizations, and hence the job opportunities in this area are ample. People appreciate that the process owners or the process managers, the process consultants, the tool consultants, in fact, the solution architects, the technical writers, the support staff that they have, the service managers or the service owner, and last but not the least, the vendor licensed individual professional must be an ITIL certified professional. Have a look at these job opportunities. These are just the few job opportunities to list down over here. So what is the benefits of ITIL and why there are so many job opportunities? The first benefit of the ITIL is that it is aligned with the business needs. The IT strategy groups recommended in-service strategies and the implementations of service portfolios gives IT the opportunity to understand business's current and future needs and develop their offerings which can address them. The other benefit of ITIL is it helps in negotiating your achievable service levels. What it means is the business and IT become true partners when they agree upon the realistic service levels which that can deliver the necessary value at an acceptable cost. The other benefit of an ITIL is that it helps in predictable, consistent processes. What do you mean by predictable, consistent processes? If we have the right ITIL framework set in our organizations, and if it is being abided, the customer expectations can be set, and it becomes easier to meet with those expectations with the use of predictable processes that are consistently being used in the organization. ITIL also efficiently helps in service delivery. In what manner does it help? It helps in defining the processes with clearly documented accountability for each activity as recommended through the use of RACI matrix, which can significantly increase the efficiency of processes. The other benefit of ITIL framework is it helps in measurable, improvable services and processes. There's an old saying in the industry, what you cannot manage, you cannot measure. So through ITIL, it helps in consistent, repeatable processes which can be measured and therefore can be better tuned for what? For accurate delivery and overall effectiveness. The last but not the least benefit of ITIL is it helps in bringing a common language. Language to what? Language between two individuals. The terms are defined. For an example, the change management, incident management. So when I talk about change management, being an ITIL certified to an other ITIL certified professional, I need not to get into the nitty-gritties of what exactly this term means. We already are set on the same page of the terms and its definitions. Once you're an ITIL certified, you can also help the IT service community building up through the platforms which is there on your screens, like the IT service management forums or the back to ITSM groups or the ITSM FUSA ISO or IEAC 20,000 certified groups, or the well-known community platform that is LinkedIn. So how the Edureka would help you out in meeting out the ITIL Foundation course objectives. The ITIL course has been divided into 6 modules. The first module is Service Management as Practice, which gives you a brief general know-how or base for the ITIL framework. We'll move to the next phase in the other module, which is Service Strategy, followed by Service Design, then Service Transition, Service Operation, and lastly, the Continual Service Improvement. So how the Edureka has the value differentiation among the other organizations existing across the globe for training. The first and foremost is Edureka offers you the best platform. When I say best, it literally and figuratively means the best in providing the live online classes. All the classes of Edureka on the live platform, for which you have the schedule and calendar ready at the beginning of the month. So you have the clear idea and picture in which you can schedule your sessions well in advance. The other benefit of doing the ITIL or any other training program through Edureka is all your classes which is being conducted on the live online platform is recorded and available. 2 things, it's recorded and available into your Edureka account once the session finishes. Edureka is the few of the organization which provides each and every participant not only the 24/7 post-class support, but also support in various ways. You have forums where you can post your questions. You have people on the chat whom you can talk to. You have the other platform on calling up the service desk, or you can email them. So there are various ways in which post-class session you can get in touch with Edureka for any support that you require. Maybe the session based or maybe technical, non-technical support. Each of the Edureka sessions are broken down into modules, and at the end of each module you have the question sample papers to solve to. In the relevant given certification programs, you also have the project work which can be performed. And yes, you have the verifiable certificate at the end of the session once it is completed. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen.